pumpkins don't come from around here.
Yeah, right.
So how do you do that? I mean, how do you breed a better pumpkin?
Well, most of the pumpkins that you get, that are the nice, rich orange pumpkins, they are Cucurbita pepo or Cucurbita maxima. So they're varieties that aren't really all that well suited to Florida. So I mean, the problem with Florida is you get a lot of rain and you get mold on the vines. And one day your little pumpkin patch looks great, and then it rains for a couple of days, and everything turns all white. And
I hate when that happens, David. I hate when that happens. You were just listening to a recording, just so we're not trying to fool anybody.
And make it sound like it's real.
We were trying to, but now it is live. So that's kind of funny. David Goodman is here, and the phone lines are open. If you tried to call in the first 4 minutes or so, that was a recording because you were stuck in traffic. So I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah,
and I saw a couple of children following you.
Yeah, there's a couple of kids out here somewhere. Yeah. I think they're mine.
So they were following you as well. Oh my goodness! What were you in? Were you listening in the car? You didn't.
No, I should have been listening.
You hear yourself?
I don't want to hear myself. I'm terrified. Yeah.
So how are you doing? I already asked you the recording, but that was like a month ago or so. But how are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing great. We're having a lot of fun. It's about time to start putting in fall gardens. I mean, this is just prime time
for fall gardens.
Yep.
We have two storm related questions because there's Hurricane Danny or whatever it was is now nothing. It's just dissipated, it disappeared or whatever. But there's Hurricane or Tropical Storm Erica out there. Now that's aiming at Florida.
Right.
All right. Now we haven't had a storm. Were you here in 2004?
I was in and out in 2004.
So do you remember those hurricanes?
Yeah. It was one after the other.
And we had two that hit us directly. Ocala, I mean.
Right, Charlie. Charlie that hit that year.
I don't remember.
And Rita.
To be honest with you, I don't remember which two storms.
It was a bunch.
but the first one was worse than the second one, and they say because the first one kind of culled the trees. So the damage that falling trees causes didn't happen in the second storm because most of the trees fell in the first storm.
Right.
So that brings up a question, and there was another question we had, but let me just ask the first one. So the first one was, what can we do? If nature can do that, can we do that instead of nature? Is there a way to go up there with a tree surgeon or an arborist or something and say, okay, let's thin the tree out so that it doesn't fall?
Yeah, but it depends on what type of tree you have. Some of the trees are really good at holding onto the ground, and they don't generally fall over like that. From what I've read, the sweet gum trees tend to hang on, and the live oak trees hang on. But it's the red oaks or the water oaks, that are kind of scary, and the black cherry trees.
They're scary? Oh, scary because they might fall.
They're like a multi-thousand-pound.
Is that the one that has the big, long branches that seem to go forever?
No, the live oak is the one that's a great big cathedral. They stretch out way over the ground.
Are they strong?
Classic.
Is that a strong?
They're strong, and they tend to just kind of fall over a little bit, but they adjust to it. But white oaks have the ability to heal, and red oaks are not good at healing. If they get a little bit of damage inside, the rot tends to spread into the tree over time. So you'll see these the red oaks or the water oaks. They tend to grow really tall pretty quickly, and then at about 70 or 80 years the bottoms tend to rot out and then they fall. They call them a widowmaker. They'll just fall spontaneously.
That would be a widowmaker.
When I first moved into my house, we had some beautiful oaks in the yard, but they were older oaks, and I had somebody look at them. They said, "Oh, those are water oaks. You never know when one of those is going to fall down." I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah, whatever." They're nice.
Well, see, now that would be good information if I wanted to. Okay, so there's a storm about 10 days away. If it makes it here,
right?
I mean, there's no guarantee that it will or it won't. But let's say I'm looking around my yard and I say, "Oh my gosh, there's a storm 10 days away."
Right.
Can I get a tree guy out and say, "Oh, you've got what was it called? The red
water oaks."
Water oaks.
Yeah.
So the water oaks has to be taken down or thinned out or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was out in the yard one day and suddenly I heard crick 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 for a little while after I bought our house. It's just that cracking sound.
Yeah.
And then suddenly. you know, you
The
hear
whole tree?
the whoosh of the branches. Yeah, and one of the trees went down in the yard.
Oh, wow.
And I went, oh my goodness, I'm glad none of the kids were playing out here or anything.
Yeah.
And it fell in a nice place. And I talked to my neighbor, and neighbor's like, yeah, you know, thing is, guy who was here before, one of those fell right on the edge of the property here and went right through the center of his truck. He was mad. I'm like, I bet he was.
Funny.
So I had a tree company come out to pull the ones
That was
that
a
were
good
next to the house
invitation.
and just cut.
I don't know the guy, but I could picture him. That was like storytelling.
And he's always cooler than me. The neighbor is cooler than me. So it's always, every time I talk to him, you know, you feel like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm like, oh, he's just cooler than me. You know?
You're a good storyteller.
Well,
Also, you weren't out of breath at all. I mean, you came running in here.
I'm jogging. I wonder if
you're in good shape.
I hope that was on the camera.
You're in good shape.
I try to stay in good shape.
I don't think it was on the camera, but we can report it.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, so if you do have them, if you've got big branches hanging right over the house, or if you've got trees that are prone to spontaneously cracking at the bottom, if you've got trees where inside the base of it is rotted out, you know, and a family of possums has moved in there, obviously, you know. There's one thing you can do is some people that are into preserving space or environment will do is they'll cut the tree at like 8 or 10 foot and they'll leave it as a tree just there, right? They kill the tree. Basically, you know, it just sits there dead. But the tree's already got problems. They'll leave it there for the wildlife to move into for the next 5 or 10 years. Bees will move into those rotten trees.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, woodpeckers will
Not a
drill
bad
them
idea.
out and eat out of them.
I think there's one outside the mall right here. There's an old palm tree that
Yeah,
for
they
some
may have left
reason.
it on purpose.
Maybe.
Maybe there's like a greater crested cormorant baby nest.
We'll be right back.
Brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, a mix of sun and clouds with a thunderstorm around mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior. The high today 91 to 95. There can be a shower or thunderstorm in the area early tonight. Otherwise, partly cloudy and warm overnight, those 73 to 77. Times of sun and clouds tomorrow with a couple of thunderstorms around mainly during the afternoon hours. The high 88 to 92. Thursday, variable cloudiness with a shower and thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Don Nottingham of the Miami Dolphins here, proud to be this year's chairman of the Special Olympics Champions for Champions event. Come join players from the world of professional sports, sharing their stories with a great dinner on Friday, September 18th, and or play at Candler Hills Golf Club on Saturday, September 19th. Either way, you'll be helping the Special Olympics of Marion County Champions for Champions. Call 988-7998 for details. That's 988-7998. Please help our Special Olympians.
Cookies, 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 cookies.
When you want something special and fun for any occasion, get cookies. That's right. The Great American Cookie Company in the Paddock Mall, Ocala will make a delicious, fun-filled delight just for you. You might notice that I said fun and delicious more than once. That's because I can't say it enough. The next time you're at the mall, be sure and stop by or call 352-237-2557 to place your order.
Cookies, cookies,
Yum.
cookies, cookies. We go cookie eating cookies.
The Great American Cookie Company.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Located next door to Silver Spring State Park and a few minutes from historic downtown Ocala, our award-winning Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites of Silver Springs is a place to stay for a friendly, memorable, and fun experience. Enjoy our fast and free Wi-Fi, complimentary hot breakfast, and free parking. Whether you're in town for work or play, our friendly staff will make you feel right at home. That's the Holiday Inn Express and Suites of Silver Springs, proud sponsor of Friday night Marion County High School football on WOCA, The Source.
Who doesn't love heading out on the boat with a family, hitting the ATV trails with friends, or blazing new stretches of highway with riding buddies? Your toys are your ticket to outdoor fun. At the McDonald Allstate Agency, we get to know you and help make sure you have all the right coverages. Plus, when you bundle your coverage for your car and your home with your boat, motorcycle, RV, or more, you can save up to 30%. So call the McDonald Allstate Agency today at 622-2333 or stop by one of our 2 Ocala locations at Calla Hills or the Jasmine Square Plaza.
Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Savings vary.
We are The Source, WOCA.
That was my cue. 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. David Goodman is in the studio, sitting in for Carol Ann Baldwin. David is here live, by the way, on August 25th. If that's the date on your calendar, then you are listening to a live show. Earlier in the show, David was not here, and so we were playing a rerun because we didn't know where you were, but you were in traffic or something. So
just showed up.
So how's your microphone sound now? I lowered a little bit. Does it sound all right?
Yeah, sounds fine.
Sounds fine? Okay.
Sounds fine.
It is the technical stuff. Once upon a time, we used to say it's over-modulating and it had a crackling. Now it clips and
it clips.
It loses
rips.
it
tears.
the digital thing.
It starts to lose his ones and zeros somewhere in there.
Right.
Start falling out.
So you told me during the break that you have a new book coming out. This is your third book?
Yeah. Well, it's it'll be my third print book. But I did an audiobook almost 2 years ago on survival gardening through a crash. And it's basically, if everything collapsed and you were looking at your pantry, the beans in your pantry and a big front lawn,
right.
What do you need to do right away to start growing food, hopefully? So that book actually has sold quite well, but
I bet it did. I bet it does.
It sells, I don't know. Let me think. It sells probably a couple hundred copies a month, pretty easily.
So I have a question about that. So if I was in my home and suddenly there was a big crash of some sort, and all I had was beans, I could grow from those beans?
Yes. Yeah. The beans in the pantry will grow. I mean, obviously.
Assuming they're not Campbell's beans.
If they're not cooked, they're not canned beans.
All right, but now, what if I was
dry beans? Yes.
All right, now what if I was in an airplane and it crashed, and I'm the only survivor? I would have to go find some beans somewhere.
At that point, you'd have to
live off the land.
Yeah, or you could eat the other passengers, I suppose. That's usually not the first choice of civilized man.
I would never do this. I would never do this.
No.
There's no way that I would ever do.
Not with the diet of most people today. They don't look healthy, and I think if you ate them, it would.
No. It doesn't matter. Would you? I mean, absolutely.
No, there's no way.
So you and I are flying together. I'm lying there dead. I don't even come to mind as a morsel.
In the garden with Carol Ann. Carol Ann's out. It's cannibalism week. Yes, pick up my new Gardening at Donner Pass. It's on Amazon.
So the new book, let's talk about the new book. Did you hear about that boy who survived in the woods? Where was it, in Utah? Yeah, in Utah.
Yeah.
In the mountains.
No.
Did you hear about him?
No.
Sunday morning he disappeared, and thank God he's okay.
Yeah.
And they found him yesterday afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, spent the whole night, and it was like upper 30s overnight. Upper 30. He had a coat.
Oh my goodness.
But upper 30s overnight.
If I was a parent, I would just be.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You can't even begin to imagine. You know what it is? We think that we do such a great job training our children that we think they're able to do stuff, and while they are, we always we risk being too trusting of their skills. That's what happened to those two boys in that boat, found from South Florida. Their father said, "Oh, they know how to handle themselves out on the water," and they're probably dead. I mean, unless they're still hanging on to a cooler somewhere out there.
Yeah, nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you were at a plane crash and that sort of thing, the first thing you'd want to do is try and see if there was anything from the onboard concession was left.
Actually, you're right. You did take us in the cannibal direction.
Yes,
I was just
stay
thinking
near the plane.
Trees.
And then you should know how to forage. But the problem is with foraging, unless you know plants in every bioregion. If you're from Florida, like I'm from Florida, I know what to eat if I go out in Florida. I went around there's a article on my website where I went 2 blocks around the neighborhood and took photos of everything that was edible.
Right,
I found 17 edible plants within 2 blocks of my house.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, we found wild grapes. We found Biden's alba, which is an edible wild weed that people don't eat most of the time. The smilax shoots, the greenbriers that everybody hates, they're edible. There's all kinds of edible stuff out there. But if I got transplanted to, say, the scrubby mountains of Arizona, say high desert, I wouldn't know what to find. I mean, I would do my
I would
best.
love to find here. I mean,
know that the cactuses are edible, so
you're my go-to guy if we crash around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know in my yard though? Right now, I have oranges that are starting, and bananas that are starting.
All right.
I've lived there. I guess it's 8 years now, and I've had the banana plant the whole time. Never once have I had bananas. I've had maybe 3 or 4 years where that big purple flower comes down.
Right.
But this is the first year where I've actually had bananas.
May have been too late in the year when the flower comes out. It's often you can grow bananas here. I put if you look up David the Good on YouTube, or if you look up my website, thesurvivalgardener.com, I changed from Florida Survival Gardening to The Survival Gardener because I was getting readers from all over the country. So I thought, I'm going to de-regionalize a little bit.
Yeah.
I just posted a video on growing bananas in North Florida because a lot of times the bananas will grow, they count a certain amount of leaves and then they put a bloom out. And they'll count, say 24 leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then climb up the, and then suddenly, here comes the bloom. Well, what happens is people will.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'll freeze back in the winter after it's counted the blooms, and then people will chop the top of it off and get it to regrow. It starts counting again, and then it gets chopped down again. It starts counting again. The plant doesn't get enough growth to put the bloom out in time. If it puts the bloom out in the late summer or in the fall, usually it'll freeze off in the winter. Temperatures get below the 70s, and a banana tree just sits there. It doesn't grow anymore. And so the bloom might come out in August, September, and you see the little bananas, but then if it starts to get cold in October or November, it just sits there and doesn't mature anymore.
The question I've always had about now, are you familiar with the fact that we used to broadcast from the Cascades?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the garden in the Cascades?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, this is a beautiful garden, really. And they probably still have, but they definitely used to have banana plants in there. And so one time we went out and we picked some of those bananas and we brought them into the studio. And they were horrible. I don't know how you eat them. They just weren't good at all.
It depends on the variety. Some of them are more on the oriental or ornamental end of the spectrum.
Really?
There's ornamental bananas. The bananas that we have now are selected for thousands of years by unknown South American tribes. Right? Yeah, she was down there thousands of years.
Chiquita. You know what's funny? There's a company that makes bananas, that sells bananas, called Boneless. Have you ever heard of the Boneless Banana Company?
No.
And so it's funny because people will see the boneless bananas on sale and they'll think that's a misprint. They'll take pictures of it and they'll put it on Facebook or whatever and say, "Look,
that's bizarre." Yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually the name of the company.
Deboned them first. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I hate is trying
to bone in your banana.
Yeah, I hate that.
So the other question we had about the weather was there was a story this morning about a 65-foot deep sinkhole in Lake County that they just filled yesterday, and if I have it here, 25.
Oh my goodness.
Here it is. It took 25 dump truck loads worth of material to fill the 65-foot deep, 45-foot wide hole in Groveland in Lake County. Okay.
They filled it with Clinton's emails.
Oh, that was good. So, if we've had a lot of rain lately, and I always thought that when you have a lot of rain, then you don't have sinkholes because there's water.
The aquifer is filling up.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But I guess I'm wrong, huh?
I'm not a soil geologist, but I have gone to there's a little Silver Springs Park where you can push the little buttons and different parts of the aquifer light up. So,
where, in the museum?
Yeah,
okay.
Little Silver Springs Park over there. Yeah, they've got the little light up.
Yeah, I'm at the park all the time, but I haven't been in the museum in a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's if I understand it correctly, the changes in hydrology from either drought conditions or heavy rains can both knock out.
Oh, either
you
way.
got water going up and down inside of it, and you got
Oh, okay.
it's sitting there. I know that in our yard, I was running a hose in the backyard once after I planted a tree, and I put the tree in the ground. I put the hose at the base of it and just let the hose run, low trickle. The next morning, I came out, and the tree had disappeared 4 feet into the ground.
No way.
The top of the tree was about ground level.
Oh,
I
wow.
looked down in this pit, and there's a lemon tree sitting down in there. And I went, oh, no. I've got sinkholes, Maybe this might be like the mouth to hell right here. That's just going to open up and eat us. Well, I started sticking the hose in the ground back there, and other pockets opened up. Things fell in, and I realized I took a post hole digger and I dug a hole.
Right.
And the post hole digger hit something, and it started bouncing.
Right.
Like, boing,
right.
boing. I went, there's a tire down there.
Oh.
Now I know what's going on.
So it's a man-made problem.
Right, exactly. They must have cleared my property at
Buried
some point,
a bunch of stuff.
Buried a bunch of junk, and it's got all these air pockets in it. It's like, oh, that's nice. But it was fine. I was like,
but hopefully
I'm glad
not
it's not
under your home.
Right, hopefully not.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm glad it was that instead of a sinkhole.
All right, the phone lines are open if you have a gardening question. I really want to know what's in the book. We haven't talked about your book.
Yes.
That's kind of unfair. Can you just hold off on that? Because otherwise we'll be taking a break. And so on the other side of the break, we'll talk about the book.
Break, we'll talk it.
Tell me what it's called. It's right now. It's available as an ebook, or
it is available as a pre-order on Amazon right now for $2.99 as an ebook, Kindle version, and then a print version will come out in probably about a month or so.
Okay.
The Kindle version is available for pre-order. It's called Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening: The Secret to Growing Piles of Food in the Sunshine State.
Nice.
So if you look up Totally Crazy Easy Florida Gardening, that's it.
All right, I will do that. Looking up in just a second here. All right, we'll take a little break. We've got a half hour left. David Goodman is in the studio. If you're looking him up online, he goes by David the Good, and he's got some books that'll help you out in your gardening efforts, especially if you want to do some survival gardening. I like that notion. So any questions you have, he can answer you on the phone. Give him a call right now, 622-9622. The break is about 3 minutes long, so we'll be back in about 3 minutes. You're listening to The Source, WOCA. Caroline Baldwin not here today. Don't know where she is, do you?
She's still out of town.
Still out of town. Oh, she went to her brother. Okay.
Taking care of family.
Is he doing okay?
Don't know.
Oh, you don't know. We'll be right back with David Goodman. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Joe Chiarl. Investors waiting to see if U.S. stocks rebound from yesterday's heavy losses. Dow futures have been up near 4% after a huge overnight sell-off in China, which announced another interest rate cut.
They lowered rates after market close, but earlier markets were showing a mixed picture. And over here in China, the Shanghai Composite did not catch a break, down about 7.6% to break that psychologically important 3,000 level.
Fox Business Network's Tracy Chang. European markets rebounding. Tropical storm Erica forming overnight and heading toward the Leeward Islands.
That Erica right now is a tropical storm out in the central tropical Atlantic. It's going to move generally westward to west-northwestward over the next several days.
The National Hurricane Center's Michael Brennan, and a San Francisco judge is expected to hear evidence today in the case of an illegal Mexican immigrant accused of killing a woman at a San Francisco pier. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. You want the truck with the most towing power, the most payload, that accelerates faster, stops quicker, handles better than ever, that works smarter, is loaded with a ton of new technology and tools, has best-in-class gas mileage, that doesn't rust, and has the government's highest overall safety rating, 5 stars. Have I got that right? That's all you want, right? Everything? Okay. What color? This is the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body Ford F-150, and this changes everything. Built Ford Tough.
Towing when properly equipped with available 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 4x2. Payload when properly equipped with available 5.0-liter V8 4x2. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR. EPA estimated fuel economy rating of 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined MPG, 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 4x2. Actual mileage will vary. Government 5-star safety ratings are part of the U.S. Department of Transportation's new car assessment program, safercar.gov.
It's rodeo time in Ocala. The Great Ocala Shrine Rodeo stampedes back to town September 4th and 5th, 7:30 nightly. Witness America's #1 sport and the greatest show on dirt as cowboys ride to help children walk. 33 years of broncs, bulls, and babes. For tickets and information, call 352-402-8808. September 4th and 5th. Don't miss the Ocala Shrine Rodeo.
Robin, let's try a little plant trivia. Name this nursery. It's a not-for-profit, and it teaches growing and caring for plants to their students.
Oh, that's easy. Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? It's a nursery conveniently located between Ocala and Bellevue.
Again, it's Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? A nursery with a wide variety of just what you need or want at the most reasonable prices.
Kenny's Place, of course.
Kenny's Place at 7677 Southeast 41st Court. Give them a call at 867-1213. It's a caring place for people and plants. It's Kenny's Place.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. In addition to our pasture mowing service, we also offer fence row spraying. Now is the perfect time to get ahead on weed control for an overall aesthetic appearance. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440.
There's a car accident in this country every 5 seconds. That's why Allstate thinks it's time for an entirely different kind of car insurance, with features like accident forgiveness and a safe driving bonus. It's called Your Choice Auto, and it's only from Allstate. Are you in good hands?
You deserve better. Sign up for Your Choice Auto from Allstate. Call the McDonald Agency today at 622-2333.
Features are optional and subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Insurance, Northbrook, Illinois.
Summer is dwindling down, and so is your wallet. Well, don't stress. Golf is still affordable at Pine Oaks Golf Club. You and a friend can take advantage of the $40 twosome. Pine Oaks offers a championship 18-hole golf course with a fully stocked pro shop and snack bar. So what are you waiting for? The $40 twosome at Pine Oaks is just what the summer ordered for you. So set your tee times now at pineoaksocala.com.
WOCA, WWWWOCA.
The most trusted name in news, Fox News, every half hour, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. This is In the Garden with Carol Ann. However, Carol Ann Baldwin is not here today. In her place, David Goodman is here to answer your questions and kind of entertain us and educate us about gardening and everything we might need to know about gardening. And you have a new book, but we didn't really delve into it a whole lot. I think that's my fault. So how long did it take you to write this one? It seems like you just created the other one, like not that long ago.
Here's what happened. It's I spent years practicing and studying and testing and planting different gardens and trying different methods. Everything from square foot gardens to growing potatoes in barrels to building worm bins to doing test. And I would write about it on my website. There's a bit here and there's a bit there and there's a bit here. And so writing a book for me is not difficult because I'm not having to do a lot of research anymore because all the hard work was already done.
But that makes
all
sense,
I got to do is make sure that I don't cite somebody incorrectly. I think I remember so and so said this. That's not a good idea. But once I nail down some of those bits and pieces, I can write 3,000 words in a day without too much trouble. Because I've written for years, writing advertising and radio scripts and all that stuff. So when it came down to actually writing about something I loved, I could just sit there and write. And so this last year, I thought, it's time to start writing a lot of this out. The survival gardening audiobook was doing well, so I thought, I'll follow it up with the little Florida Food Forests book. So I did the little Create Your Own Florida Food Forest back in February. And I talked to a publisher around that same time of the year and said, I've got this idea for a big composting book. And he says, if you write it, I'll publish it. Oh my goodness, now I have to write it. So,
right.
So I spent a few months writing that book, and then that was published. And after that came out, I'm watching. I'm like, the sales are pretty good on these books, and I'm really enjoying just getting written by people all over the country saying,
right,
hey, I love what you did this, I love this. And I can Google, something I wrote in the book now, and it showed up online. And before, some people hadn't even heard of some of the composting stuff I was doing. It's like, oh, cool, it's starting to get out there. And so I said, I'm just going to I've dropped everything. Even my plant nursery now I've just dropped. All I'm doing is writing so I can get out the information. And I felt like a really dead simple book on Florida gardening would be the way to do it, because we've found crops that are so productive here and they're almost unknown. Crops like Mexican tree spinach or African yams.
Really?
Yard-long beans. They're gigantic green beans, 18 to 24-inch long green beans. Things from the tropics that are not familiar, old heirloom vegetables. And I thought really the key to gardening in Florida is to garden with the climate and garden with plants that actually love it here, rather than always fighting. Everybody wants to grow tomatoes. Tomatoes are the biggest pain in the neck to grow here. I mean, other than maybe, artichokes or something that's really a northern
one of the things that Carol Ann has taught us is that Florida is not the same everywhere. So our area of Florida has different rules than just 50 miles south or 50 miles north.
Yeah.
So does the book cover that in any way?
The book covers that too. I cover South Florida and North Florida and divide into, it's two distinct regions. But the thing is that we both, in South Florida and North Florida, we have hot, humid, rainy summers.
Is that the differences? Is temperatures, or is it humidity, or is it rainfall? What are the differences?
There's a few differences. We get hotter here and colder here than coastal areas of Florida.
Okay.
Because we're right in the middle, and so we don't get the moderation of the ocean over the winter. So we get down, I've measured 12 degrees at my property. I'm like, that's terrible. 12 degrees in Florida? It's miserable. That's why we can't grow coconuts here. But if you drive straight over to Ormond Beach, you'll start seeing tropical plants within, a couple of miles of the ocean, and it drops off again real fast. You can see it show up because just that warmth.
Do you know what I've often wondered? In San Francisco, they have palm trees, and they're rather north. They're pretty far north.
They are north, yeah. It's funny because it's a moderate climate. It doesn't get all that much colder up in North California off of the ocean than it does here. Even though it's way far north. The ocean is a great big water bottle. People used to put a water bottle at their feet overnight to keep them warm. It's this great big mass holding all that warmth and energy.
And I don't know much about this, but I remember that somewhere in southern England, they actually have tropical conditions because of the Gulf Stream, and that's really north.
Yeah, little stretches, little pieces here and there.
That's crazy. All right, we have a phone call. Let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air with David Goodman.
Hey, good morning, David. Good morning, Larry.
Hi, Joe.
Good morning.
There's a tropical rainforest in Washington State, I think. I read about. But my question, David, if you buy modern seeds today, they have a GMO component to them mostly. If you buy heirloom or heritage seeds, do they still have the GMO components that are out there? That's what I'm trying to ask is, can I still buy pure vegetable seeds? I hang up and get the answer. Thank you.
That's a really good question.
Yes, it's a very good question. Genetic modification has not taken over all of the vegetable seeds. In fact, it's only taken over maybe a tiny percentage. A lot of the factory farm seed sources are, say Roundup Ready, or there's corn that produces its own pesticide, so it's less tasty to insects. There's corn that you can spray with Roundup, kill the weeds, the corn isn't touched. The heirloom seed savers are very concerned about this, particularly for open pollinated varieties, because if you have a gene, say for Roundup readiness, that might have come from some other organism and it's been inserted into corn, and corn is wind pollinated, if you grow a patch of, say, an heirloom variety of grain corn, like or even sweet corn, you might be growing Hickory King corn, which is an old grits corn from the South. It's a great old corn, great big white ears of corn. But your neighbor is growing some, test batch number 3, 8, 15, whatever that they got from the university. During pollination season, the pollen is going all over the place, and the next generation of corn, if you save the seed from your Hickory King, it's not going to be the Hickory King heirloom completely anymore. It's going to have bits of genetic drift in it. The genes are passed through the air with corn up to sometimes a couple of miles. And so if you're growing a patch of corn and somebody else is growing genetically modified corn, you try to save your seeds, you're going to be in big trouble. You're not going to be able to be sure that you don't have modified genetics in the next year's corn because those genes pass on. Most plants, though, I've done a lot of research into plant breeding. I'm working on breeding tropical pumpkins, as you probably heard at the top of the show from the rerun. Most plants that are sold are still traditionally bred. So if you say, Blue Lake number 74 bean, or some of your old radishes, Cherry Bell and those things, those are not, they've been bred for a long period of time for specific characteristics, and they've been traditionally selected. You get, a parent radish that you like, and you breed it with another variety that you like, and then you breed them over a few generations until that becomes a pretty stable radish type. When you plant those seeds, you're going to end up with that same sort of radish again. Most of them are traditional. If you want to get heirloom seeds, I like Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. If you look up Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, there's a lot of independent people that are doing nothing but saving heirloom varieties and keeping them safe with proper isolation distances from genetically modified varieties. So you can find a lot of good stuff there. I've shopped with them before. And there's most of the seed things, unless you can look up and say, is this a GMO seed? Or you can call the seed company. The seed company will tell you. A lot of the seed people are very concerned.
Yeah, and we had some horrible stories out of India, the farmers that couldn't survive because they had to keep buying seed where they used to be able to have seed from their plants.
Yeah.
And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with David.
Hey, good morning, David. I'm sorry to return another call so quick, but you answered my question on where to get the heirloom seeds. But the genetic insertion of insecticides into the open pollination, is that part of the reason we are just losing honeybees at such a rapid rate? And again, apologies for calling back in. Thank you.
No problem. Actually, yeah, that's one of the conjectures of the whole colony collapse disorder was perhaps the insertion of insecticides into it, because bees will visit. A colony of bees visits millions of flowers over and over and over again. And if there's anything, and they bring the pollen back as they do that. And if the pollen contains toxins, which is often the case, it'll start to build up in the hive. I'm actually working on a project with an organic beekeeper at the moment, and we are co-writing a book because he had tons of information and I have writing ability, so we're teaming up to write a book on beekeeping in Florida. And one of the things he told me is that neonicotinoid insecticides, which are sort of a synthetic nicotine insecticide, is very, very, very toxic to bees, and it builds up in the hives, and they cannot compete with pests. They get ill, and then the hives die out. And it happens rapidly. And he says that the USDA has been stalling on it and won't touch it because there's a lot of money involved with the pesticide industry and with large chemical companies and with big agriculture. It's not easy to make a big shift from one variety of spraying to another when they found something that works really well to kill the pests. So, but in the EU, and he said in multiple countries that are associated with Great Britain, such as Australia, New Zealand, et cetera, they have actually banned some of those insecticides and backed way off on their spray schedules, and colony collapse disorder has virtually disappeared. So some of the modern insecticides were building up in the beehives, killing the bees off, giving them major problems. They're still acting like it's a mystery here, but the EU figured it out a few years ago, and they quit. So the hives have come back, and it's one of the dangers of trying to keep bees.
Still acting like it's a mystery.
Right, we don't know yet. We're not sure yet. It's not conclusive yet. So, but yeah, he says it's way dropped off in Europe, et cetera. So a lot of the spraying, if you're trying to keep bees near a golf course or near industrial agriculture, you may just lose your
One of the
bees.
cool things about this program, when you're here and when Caroline is here, is the fact that people share the recordings of these, and that little nugget right there is worth sharing this whole video for, right there. Or we'll be right back. And if you want to call in, the number is 622-9622. We'll take a break and be right back with David.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
There may be another reason our pets are getting fat. Because no matter how much food we give our pets, they still control how much they consume, right? Enjoy some guacamole. Experts say avocado has healthy, unsaturated fat, which can lower your bad cholesterol. Women say they want a man who watches football but also loves shopping and who's not afraid to cry during movies. It would seem that women have high expectations when it comes to the perfect man.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hey, Mary Poppins! Yes, she's coming to Ocala, and you don't want to miss this high-flying musical. The Ocala Civic Theater has done it again with the performance of Mary Poppins. Don't miss the magic live on stage at the Ocala Civic Theater. Mary Poppins, a perfect treat for the whole family. Performances from September 3rd to October 4th. For tickets, call 352-236-2274.
Hey Ocala, this is Kelly Hart, Executive Editor of Ocala Magazine. Did you know last year Ocala Magazine won more awards in excellence than any other publication in Florida? And this year, Ocala Magazine was named Best Consumer Magazine in the state. Now you can join me every Friday at 10 a.m. on Ocala Magazine Radio, where we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life, right here on The Source. Ocala Magazine thanks you for making us number one. And remember, there is only one Ocala Magazine.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, The Source. Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line and a new spoiler and a new
Yep,
trunk.
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
All right, 11 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is so interesting. David Goodman is here, and we're talking about gardens. You do have another phone call, David, so let's go right to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Hi there. David, I miss your columns in the magazines around town. Always look forward to those.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yes. How about some suggestions for strong native ground covers for shade in particular?
Oh boy, strong native ground covers.
Mm-hmm.
I am not all that great on the native plants. I've mostly focused on edible plants. Well, what type of do you have growing around your property? Would you say it's pines or oaks?
Oaks.
Oaks, okay. I would check with, if you look up Chiappini's native farm and nursery, Chiappini. I'm not exactly sure how to spell that. I think it's Chia, P-P-I-N-I. Chiappini. Dave Chiappini is one of the foremost experts on Florida native plants. And if you give him a call and say that you heard his name on WOCA this morning and you're looking for a native ground cover, he would tell you where to go.
Well, thank you very much, David. God bless you and your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So here's Chiappini. Thank you for the call. The phone line's open, by the way. Chiappini. I looked it up. Chiappini Farm Native Nursery.
Yeah, the guy's brilliant. His wife is a class act.
In Hawthorne. Do you want me to give out the phone number?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 352-475-5413. And it is Chiappini. I think you spelled it right.
Yep.
So there you go. Up in Hawthorne.
I know where I'm good, and I know where I'm not as good.
So I saw The amama. This is changing the subject a lot. I saw amama. What do you call it? Like a peahen, the female peacock, and 2 little babies like a few months ago. And yesterday was Sunday. They were walking through my yard, and now the 2 little ones are, I guess, the equivalent of teenagers in peacock world. So
right.
It's kind of cool to see them walking around.
That is cool. I've eaten peacock before.
The neighborhood cat was hoping to get a bite, but I think he changed his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It tastes good. It tastes like a turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air with David.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Got a question about, I thought that love bugs come out the 1st of May and the 1st of September. But I just came back from up north near the split by 301, 441, and I got hit by a bunch of love bugs. Are they early? Is it because of the rain or what?
That's a good question. I think it may be temperature related, and it may be the rain, or maybe, worst case scenario, they're mutating. And soon we're going to have some sort of horrible...
Well, they're mutating all over my windshield.
I am sorry about that. Yeah, I have seen them in the fall.
Why are you taking the blame for that? That's not your fault.
I feel the pain. I've got pock marks in the front of my van from hitting those things and not getting them cleaned off fast enough, and they leave little marks. They're very acidic inside.
These don't have the guts to do it again, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I love it.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not exactly sure why they're showing up. I have seen them in the fall before, though. I've never seen them at the levels that I've seen them in the spring, though. I mean, the spring is just utterly incredible. And there's a bunch of urban legends, that the University of Florida released them and that they were, an experiment they created in a lab. And from all accounts that I've heard, that's not true, but it makes a great story, So, just wash them off for the best.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there something you can put on the car so that they don't stick?
You could probably leave the state. I don't know. You butter the front of the car first?
Butter it or double DD40 or something.
That's a good question. If you figured out something, love, bug be gone,
Bug be gone.
Love bug. Yeah.
No stick'ems. Don't stick.
Don't feel the love. Right.
Love bug repellent.
Yeah, I should say I have switched the website over from Florida Survival Gardening to thesurvivalgardener.com, and
okay.
My columns are no longer in Natural Awakenings because they were short on advertisement and that sort of thing. So they had a limited amount of pages. So I'm not in the local anymore. But you can find me on the website daily.
Too bad.
So.
Good morning. You're on with David.
Hey, good morning. I understand if you take the dryer, those dryer inserts.
Oh, like bounce?
Thank you. I don't use them. I don't know what they're called. Yeah, any of those. I mean, it doesn't have to be that brand name. In fact, they said you can just get the ones in any dollar store, and you just, rub that over the front of your car or wherever, and that will act as a repellent. Or if they do get stuck, they'll just, wash right off.
Really?
Well, that's great. I like it. It's called Bounce, and it bounces the love bugs off.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
That's a great tip.
Should be called Repel, but yeah.
Yeah, but Repel wouldn't be good for the clothes washing side of it. If it was called Repel, that probably wouldn't do as well. Got to sell both. Bounce is good. I never heard that before. That's cool. I'm gonna have to try that.
It's amazing what you can find on Google.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that was my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I've always said that the radio show is Google, just because I could ask any question and they will know an answer.
Somebody will know.
Somebody will call in with the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked the meaning of life and I found out what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Somebody just had it. Somebody catechized.
Do you want to know what it was?
Yeah, what is it?
Are you curious what the meaning of life is?
The chief end of man is to glorify God. I know that.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. This was not so complex. This was to live. The meaning of life is to live.
Yeah. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Yeah.
The same sound you made when the tree fell before. That same sound.
Exactly.
So the books, I found your book on Amazon. Totally Crazy, Easy Florida Gardening.
Yes.
That's your newest book.
And it's up for pre-order. It's $2.99 on Kindle. It's about 30,000 words. And I pretty much guarantee you that if you pick up a copy of the book, you will garden in Florida and you'll see things in there you will have never seen before.
The secret to growing piles of food in the Sunshine State. David the Good is who you look up. David Goodman is his real name.
It's the result of they say the greatest innovations are because of laziness, not because of hard work. How can I do that easier?
Maybe.
So for the most food for the least amount of work was what I was shooting for. Which crops taste good and will feed me, and I barely have to even look at them. You know, that's what we shot for.
And you have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with David. Well, he did have a call. But you're welcome to call back. You got another 2.5 minutes. That's usually enough to get a question answered or something.
Yeah, if you go to thesurvivalgardener.com and sign up for the newsletter, I've also got a survival crop comic book that I drew with a demented camel explaining how different survival crops work and how to save their seeds. It's really probably the most ridiculous survivalist thing you've ever seen.
Give me the website again.
Thesurvivalgardener.com. Thesurvivalgardener.com. And there's this little pop-up form that comes up, and you could subscribe to the newsletter, and then you get a code, and you can download the free.
That doesn't even look like you in that picture.
So, well, that's good, probably.
Hold on. Oh, no, now I subscribe? Okay, hold on. The phone is ringing. Good morning. You're on the air with David.
Oh, good morning. David, I have a question. Do you ever have any disease issues with your papayas?
I have not had much. I've had problems with rot when they've seen frost damage and then burned back. Now, what are you dealing with?
Well, like spots on it.
Yes, I have had spots. The papaya fruit almost always do that. They've done that down south for me, and they've done that here. They tend to spot up real fast when they ripen. Usually what happens, though, is, you know, the inside of the fruit is fine. So long as you pick it when it's most of the way yellow and it's yellow-green or green, and it's, you know, towards the end of ripeness, they will get little spots on them. But the inside of it has always been fine for me. Have you found that the fruit are rotting?
No, I'm just concerned about the spots a little bit.
They look ugly, but almost every papaya I've seen, other than perhaps the genetically modified ones coming out of Hawaii, do have some little spots. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it's never affected the fruit for me. I wouldn't worry about it too much, so long as you don't see any holes or pits or anything starting to form in them. At that point, I would just pick it and eat it as fast as possible. And I actually have recipes for green papaya on my my website too.
All right,
I was looking at that, yeah.
Oh, okay, you saw it. Well, thank you.
All right, we're out of time, David. Thank you. Thank you for the call. Well, go to thesurvivalgardener.com and look for David the Good on Amazon. You'll see David's books, and share this video with folks. It'll serve somebody. Thank you, David.
Yes, thank you for having me here.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala.
I'm Joe Chiaro. Stock prices surging more than 200 points at the open after yesterday's big drop. China's index plunged nearly 8% overnight, and other Asian indexes were mixed.
Japanese stocks had a very choppy trading day. Volumes and volatility are through the roof. The Nikkei down about 4%. And over in South Korea, the Kospi actually recovered a little bit earlier, gaining about 0.9%, led by automakers.
Fox Business Network's Tracy Chang. European markets also rebounding. The illegal immigrant charged with murdering a woman in San Francisco appears in court today.
Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez has already pleaded not guilty to murdering Catherine Steinley, and a not guilty plea was later entered on his behalf to a subsequent charge of being a felon in possession of a firearm. He'd been deported from the U.S. 5 times before.
Fox Radio's Jessica Rosenthal. And French President Francois Hollande says his country should be prepared for more terror attacks. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. You want the truck with the most towing power, the most payload, that accelerates faster, stops quicker, handles better than ever, that works smarter, is loaded with a ton of new technology and tools, has best-in-class gas mileage, that doesn't rust, and has the government's highest overall safety rating, 5 stars. Have I got that right? That's all you want, right? Everything? Okay. What color? This